background, we kick-started the Codam mentorship program last year during the pandemic in close collaboration with TomTom, where we had 17 mentors and mentees match made and who went through the program throughout 3 months. When we looked backwards on the collaboration between the mentors and mentees and the way they collaborated towards achieving the student goals on finding their path, their career paths, we realized that this is one of the very important tools for our students to be able to find their right career path. That's why we decided to continue, and not only to continue the program, but also to collaborate further with TomTom. That's why we are very thankful that TomTom actually provided us 15 mentors, yay! But we also have 16 other mentors outside of TomTom that joined us throughout this mentorship edition. And honestly, we managed to pull a fantastic pool of mentors. We have people from US, we have people from France, from Switzerland, Germany. And we are very, very thankful to all of them that actually dedicated some of their free time towards development of the future software engineering talent. One thing that I think I was just having a chat with Carol, and we actually want to emphasize on the importance that the mentors do not get paid for this. So the mentors kindly allocated their own free time towards mentoring our students, which we feel very honored, and I feel very humbled to see, you know, the type of mentors that actually understand the importance of educating the next generation of tech talent. And this is something that we do as Codam. And in order to set the path towards the mentorship program, I would like to give the word to our godfather, David Giron, to actually tell you a little bit more about what is Codam, what do we stand for, how the program looks like, and how does this mentorship program fit in. David, would you like to take over?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, Victoria. So I hope everyone can hear me loud and clear. My name is David Giron. As you can probably hear already, I am French, but I will do my best to give you my best English for today. But I also happen to be the director of Codam since its creation back in 2018. So as a forward, I would like to thank all of you for being here today. This mentorship program is very important for our students. You're going to give them the extra little bit of help that they need to become very skilled professional, and I'm very thankful for that. For this introduction, I'm going to explain you a little bit about Codam, who we are, what we do, why we do it, of course, how we do it, to give you an overview of what to expect when you're working with Codam students. So without any further introduction, I'm going to share my screen. Be there. So I hope everyone can see my screen now. That means I cannot see you anymore, so it should be okay.
All is well.
All is well. Thank you very much, Victoria. So first, I would like to introduce our mission. I think it's important that we understand why Codam is there and what is our goal. What problem are we trying to solve with Codam? So our mission statement is as follows: to prepare the next generation for the jobs of today and tomorrow by offering high quality and scalable software engineering education. So there are a few interesting keywords there that I'm going to develop a little bit more throughout this presentation. The first part is going to be about the next generation. Codam is welcome to everyone, but we want to focus on the next generation of software engineer, the young generation, all the people that are here, the young ones, I mean, are here today, the students, they are the next generation that we want to focus on. But we want to prepare them for the jobs of today and tomorrow. So this line can be a little bit cheesy, say like that, but it's actually really meaningful. The idea is that our education is targeted toward the future. It's not learning about the current technologies. It's making sure that our students are able to learn any kind of new technologies that will come in the next 10 or 20 years, it doesn't matter. So this is one of the real key elements that makes Codam so different from regular educations. We also offer a high quality education. And by high quality, I mean that it is a full-time, full-scale and high-level education. We are in no way a boot camp, and the length of our curriculums and the content of our curriculums makes us maybe closer to university than anything else, even if that's maybe the only comparison that we could do with such institution. But we are also scalable. The model that we use, the educational model and its very implementation here at Codam makes these all adventures really scalable quite easily. Right now, we work with a reduced number of staff people, a bit less than 10 people, and we can run a school with 300 students. But the good news is that with the same number of staffs, we could easily run a school with 1,000 or even more students. So this scalability is really at the core of our model as well. So that's in a nutshell our mission. But we want also to stand for a specific set of values that are very important in the world of today. Our first value is that we're here to make a difference. We want Codam to be a statement, to have meaning, and that's why we made sure that it was as open as possible to everyone, to have the broadest audience as possible at Codam. So that's why, for instance, there are no tuition fees, but it's also because there are no diplomas needed, no experience needed, nothing. Actually, the only rule to join Codam is to be more than 18, and we take it from there. The second value that we stand for is this idea of continuous learning, that we want our students to learn. And among all of the things I'm going to tell you today, this should probably be the thing that you need to remember. We want to train our students to be able to tackle anything that's going to come towards them in the future. It doesn't matter if they learn this specific language, this specific stack, or this specific framework. What matters is that they are able to acquire the mechanics, the tools, the mindset to be able to learn these new things as they will be invented and developed in the future. This idea of learning to learn also applies to the whole staff. That's something that we take at core. It's really one of the key core ideas of Codam. We also nurture diversity and inclusion. And at Codam, that's not something that we just say for the sake of saying something nice. It is meaningful to us, and it's implemented at every level. Should it be in the diversity of the students that are attracted to Codam, but also in the way that the building has been designed, also in the way the staff work. Diversity is absolutely paramount if we want to drive an actual innovation. Otherwise, we'll continue inventing the same things for the same group of people. By having a more diverse crowd of students, we can make sure to work for a real innovation. But there is more. We also want to stand for providing equitable chances and not equal chances. And I want to insist on that word, sorry. It doesn't matter to have a diverse crowd if you give everyone the same, because everyone is different and everyone needs something different from the next person. So it's important that as Codam, we're able to provide the students with what they need. They all have their own fears, their own dreams, everything is individual. We want them to exist as a person and we want to be there to give in that. But we want also to go above and beyond. Okay, this is not a 40 hours job a week. It's a mission. It's a sacerdoce. It's something that we really want to bring above and beyond. And the students are helping us on that every day. Codam exists within a network called the 42 network. It is a network that was created with the first school back in 2013 in Paris. I was lucky to be part of the founding team, and we created 42 Paris back in 2013. And from there, well, let's say that thing snowballed in a span of less than 8 years now. We moved from one school in Paris to 33 campuses across the world. Across 21 countries exactly. Now we count more than 10,000 active students and already several thousands alumni. So it is really a big network. We're really proud to be a part of it. And here in Amsterdam, we have to thank Madame Corinne Vigreux, who is one of the co-founders of TomTom, and thanks again to all the people from TomTom around. Corinne had always had this dream, this vision about education, trying to bring education to people who need it the most. She has been active in the Netherlands, in the UK, in France, and many different places. And since 2013, Corinne was really aware of what was happening in France with the creation of 42, and she wanted to bring it to the Netherlands. It became a reality in 2018, and even if the name of the school is Codam, we are at all aspects, we are 42 Amsterdam and well part of this network. So as of today, Codam counts 280 students, and we are on the verge of recruiting the next batch, that's going to start next October, the 2021 cohort, to raise this number to close to 400 students. So now I would like to say a word about our educational model. So this is a topic that I could develop for hours, literally. I could have a full-scale lecture about education model, but today I want to keep it short and to the point. It relies on one key idea, that is this learning to learn that I mentioned earlier. We want our students to be able to learn by themselves. It doesn't matter if they are fluent with JavaScript or know this latest framework that is trendy in any company. What matters is that when they will be presented with a new problematic, a new challenge, they will have the habits, they will have the mechanics to actually learn what is necessary. So it starts by understanding what is the problem. It starts by understanding what are the tools that you need to learn, until you're able to build that knowledge and eventually be able to solve the problem. So that's something that is really unique. In many schools, we see this teacher-based model. Well, we have the teachers who is teaching the students. So here we have students learn. So here the wording is really important. The model is active. That means that our students are actually engaged in the learning process. They seek the knowledge, they solve the challenge, compared to a model where they would sit in a room and just listen to someone explain them how it works. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is a poor model. I'm saying that it's something that works for a lot of people, but it doesn't work for everyone. And with Codam, we want to bring an alternative. We want to offer another path, another solution. And so far, everything leads to believe that it works really well. This learning model here relies on the second idea, is the peer-to-peer learning model. That means that the students are going to learn from each other and with one another. They are going to share the knowledges. So obviously some of them are going to be more advanced, so they can help the ones who need a bit more information to move forward. And all in all together, they will create this community. They will be much more powerful than the sum of the individuals. And this is really the core identity of the Codam community, a group of people who will share their learning and will learn together to higher goals. So we also have high technical standards. So that means that the project that students are going to do are technically advanced. It's actual programming, and they are supposed to deliver complete project, not just write a couple functions. So we need something that works. And also we are extremely picky when it comes to error detection. It's not acceptable to submit a project that has one kind of error. We don't even accept warnings. So that gives you an idea. And last point about our education model is that it is full scale and full time. Okay, so this is not an after work education. This is not a part-time education. This is not a boot camp or an online learning or anything like that. Codam is full-time and full scale. So obviously lately with the COVID crisis, it's a bit difficult, but we're supposed to have this beautiful building that is fully equipped so the students can learn in a good environment and they can spend time there on the equipment that is available to them to learn together. Now that we have a beautiful model, we need an implementation of it, and we decided to go with a project-based implementation. So a project is like a unit of learning at Codam. So instead of having these modules at the university about a specific topic and some lectures and practical sessions and eventually exams, instead here we use a practical approach, hands-on approach. We present the students with a challenge and they have to solve it. So it might seem common, said like that, but there's something that is really tricky there, is that the students are not supposed to know how to solve the problem beforehand. And actually understanding what is the problem and identifying the bits of knowledge that are necessary to solve it are part of the learning experience there. So this way we can really make sure that the students are going to learn for good. It's not that they passively listen to someone telling them that this or that is a good thing. No, they experience it firsthand to solve an actual problem. All of these projects are laid out as two separate curriculums that I'm going to detail in a second, namely Codam Core, which is the entry-level curriculum that lasts for up to 2 years, and then Codam Advanced, that is the expertise curriculum that lasts up for 3 years. So this is how the curriculums are represented as a graph That's what the students see on their intranet, and each one of these little dots is actually a project, and you can see that the projects are connected together to create these little tracks. So the first set of projects that you can see over there is Codam Course. That's the entry-level curriculum. You can see all of these cycles that represent some kind of level of difficulties, and each time the students have to solve all of the projects on one cycle before moving to the next one. So it's really playful because there is the choice to do the projects in the order you like, and you can always have a look to what's going to happen next. And this curriculum, like I said, lasts for 2 years at most, and is concluded by a 6-month internship, and counts 30 projects right now. So they will have different set of hard and soft skills. So when it comes to the hard skills, they are going to learn the languages C, C++, and assembly. So these languages in themselves are, I would say, so please do not be shocked, but I would say they are not relevant. What matters is that they are used to learn some processes, some thinking process, some to face challenges and find information, and like I said, eventually solve the project. But it's also a way for us to make sure that the students are going to understand what's going on under the hood. That when they allocate some memory, they do it for a purpose, and they understand what is the memory model and what is happening under the hood. So that's really important, that they are not just the user of the computer, but they understand what is happening actually. So obviously, they will also learn about different algorithms and data structures, because that's mandatory when you want to start programming. They will do also a bit of graphics programming to have an understanding about the geometry in space and a little bit of math that is behind it. That is always interesting. But it's also a way to introduce some constraints in programming related to time, to make sure that if the program displays an image in a year, it's not interesting. It needs to be computed right away. So this is interesting because you have to understand exactly how things work, so you don't do instructions way too many times. We also have a bit of system and networks administrations, because at some point the students have to understand what we are facing, and when they need to install a stack, it's necessary to know how to install the server and the database and that kind of little things. But hard skills are not everything. It's also important that the students learn some soft skills, because eventually they will be working in a company. We want them to be here good co-workers. So first, we want our students to be social beings. Okay, so we're moving far away of the old school phantasm of the nerd in the cave who is working on his computer all by himself, not speaking to anyone. Here, we want our students to interact with each other. We want them to be social beings, exchange information, and live all together. So this obviously is learning in a community workspace. So that's something that will translate quite easily after that in a company. We want also them to learn about discipline and commitment, because going through this curriculum is quite a journey. It requires that, well, you wake up in the morning, you work all day, and that eventually you build the time to progress through your curriculum, and it is up to you. And it's also a good preparation for the professional world for these reasons. The second curriculum, Codam Advanced, I'm going to talk about it just a second because it's out of the scope of today, but just so you understand that the second part of the studies here, it's the high-level expertise curriculum. It's 3 years long at most, and upon returning from the internship after Codam course, students have the choice to either stop their studies there, which is fine, or continue with Codam Advanced. So far, it is strong of about 100 projects that are separated in 5 tracks. That I'm going to detail in a second, and it is also concluded by a 6-month internship. The 5 tracks of Codam Advanced are web and mobile development, graphics and video games, security, artificial intelligence, and operating systems. Just to give you a quick idea of what to expect from these students after these curriculums, even if the comparison is difficult because our approach is so different that it's difficult to relate to other institutions, but it's okay to consider that at the end of Codam Core, our students are more or less on par with a bachelor degree in level. At the end of Codam Advanced, it is okay to consider that the students are more or less on par with a master degree level. Obviously, it doesn't map 1-1 because it's really different, but it gives you a ballpark idea of what to expect. As I mentioned briefly, we have 2 internships, one at the end of Codam Core and the second one at the end of Codam Advanced. Today, the students who are part of the audience are all students who are on the verge of leaving for their first internship. So they are junior programmers, and this first internship is likely to be their first professional contact. Obviously, some of them already have a bit of experience, but it's not expected and it's not that common. For us, it's a way to help them to grow their confidence. Because the learning techniques that we gave them, the challenges that they faced them inside our environment, our projects, with our learning methods, in our buildings. The thing is that maybe it doesn't work outside in the real world, and we want them to experience that firsthand in a company so they can understand that it does work, and by applying these methods, they can thrive in these companies. So that's a way for them to grow their confidence. So this internship here lasts for around 6 months and is obviously full-time. And I believe that's where your value can be really, really interesting for these students, because before joining this internship, the students are usually really worried that, am I going to be up to the task? Are the people going to be nice? What is expected from me in a company? That's a lot of things to think about when you're junior and you're just going into your first company as a software engineer. So your role here will be to mentor them, to explain them how it is to work in a company, what to expect from a software engineer, and any kind of support that could help them grow their confidence and face this first internship with pride and looking forward to it. So as a closing statement for this presentation, I want to show you quickly what are the results so far from our students in internship. So this is the first internship from Codam Core. And we had only the first cohort, the 2018s, who went through it. Not all of them are back yet, but quite a few of them are. And here you can see that evaluations on internship goes 2 times, one midway through and the second time at the end. And we ask the company to evaluate the level of the students among these 7 criteria. And we can see something really interesting. So first, the companies are quite satisfied with our students. The scores are really high, but we can also see that the students grew during this internship. We can see that the score is always better at the end of the internship than in the middle. So I find it really interesting. This chart is maybe also a way for you to think about what are the topics or the things that you could focus with your mentee. We can see, for instance, that maybe the place where they score the lowest, so it's still 4.4, but still, would be the aptitude for the professional world. So maybe it might be discussing a little bit, I don't know, the timings, what is the structure of a company, how it works, how you can deliver a project. I don't know, you know better than me there. That can be a lead to discuss with them. It's also perfectly okay to discuss techniques, because that's always fun to discuss. But that's just an overview. So we can see that so far about 50 of them finished the internship. So I believe that these numbers are quite accurate, and I expect that it's going to stay the same with the next cohort, the 2019s that are coming your way. So on these words, that concludes my introduction of Codam today.
Okay, so hello everybody. I'm Carol, and I'm here to give you some tips for an awesome mentoring experience. But I'd first of all like to say thank you for welcoming me to learning more about Codam, because I've actually just found it awesome what I've listened to. So I'm very jealous that you're all students there and able to participate into it. A couple of things that I picked up from the previous presentation, with the nurturing, the diversity and inclusion. I'm also an ambassador for diversity and inclusion in TomTom, so that's very close to my heart. So I think it's tremendous. And there's also a mention of passionate, engaged and committed to the cause. And I'm certain that your mentors are all of those things. So maybe we should take a little bit of the scariness, perhaps, out of the word mentoring for some of you. So in actual fact, it's a lot of things, mentoring, and I'm often asked, what does it really mean? If we look back at the origins of the word, it's actually from Greece. It's from ancient Greece. And it was when Odysseus was looking for somebody to be a mentor, who happened to be called mentor, somebody called mentor, to be there when he was absent, to actually be a teacher and a guide and a friend to his son. It's used for anyone who was a positive guiding influence in another person's life. I think most of us have had mentors from a very early age, but we often don't know what a mentor is. It can just be your best buddy who's given you some advice or helped you through something or made you see something that you didn't see in yourself. So it's a lot of things. And as you can see from here, Victoria mentioned trust. That's a tremendously key essential to the world of mentoring, whether it's from the mentee side or whether it's from the mentor's side. People also ask me often, what's the difference between teaching, coaching, mentoring? They're all words that seem to mix into each other. And teaching is actually the common denominator of all of them. But a teacher teaches or instructs, and that's usually to a set curriculum. A coach teaches and trains, usually for a set goal, like an Olympic medal or learning to run 5 kilometers or something. But a mentor is someone who teaches and gives help, advice, and guidance. They really are a positive guiding influence in your life. They're people who are there for you. And as Victoria said, no one is paid to do it. Mentors do this because they get something out of it too. They get a tremendous feeling of satisfaction knowing that they're helping you in the future. So trust. It's essential that there is trust. Mentors are positive, non-judgmental, solution-focused, and they will be challenging too to you. Your mentor will respect full confidentiality and the trust that you are giving them. They will help you focus on your best potential. So your mentors are there to help you, guide you. They are with you on this journey because it is a journey you're going on, and they're there to help you find your way, hand in hand, step at a time, no matter how small those steps are. One of the most important things to remember for a mentor is, and I love this quote by Steven Spielberg, the delicate balance of mentoring someone is not creating them in your own image, but giving them the opportunity to create themselves. They're not expecting you to be mini-me's. When I mentor, I don't expect, and I really don't hope to find a version of myself. I really hope that everything that you have in you, the potential you have in you, will be able, with my help or with your mentor's help, to be drawn out. One of the fantastic things about being a mentor is that actually I find every time I've been mentored by my mentee. There's a bunch of stuff that often my mentees can do that I can't do. Lots of experiences they've had that I haven't had. And it's such a tremendous journey because you're really both going to learn from each other. It's a journey of discovery for both parties. So, mentee tips and tricks. One of the things, as we said before, Victoria mentioned it, I've already mentioned it, and it really is essential. Trust your mentor. They're on your side, they're your buddies. Try to share your fears, and sometimes not knowing what you want or where you're going, well, that's okay. You know, we don't always all know where we're going, and there are times in life when things like COVID happen and we can all feel very lost. So really try to feel that you can open up about what's worrying you. It's also good if you can think up front a little bit about what you would most like to get out of this mentoring. I had the opportunity to read the messages that you were giving to your potential new mentors. And I thought it was really good. The majority of you had some goals, and also some of you didn't have some goals. There's nothing wrong with that either. And remember, set small goals. You don't have to try and climb the mountain from day one. It's important you schedule the meetings with your mentor. And it's also important, if you find communication difficult, you know, we're not all great orators, we're not all great at it, but, you know, we can get better at it. And I think that's also part of this journey of the mentoring, to help you be able to work in teams and whatever. Sometimes if you can't say it, just write it. It will be a starting point to open the door. And the key essential after the trust, the second one, is to enjoy this mentoring, because I've laughed a lot with my mentees, and I'm sure you're going to laugh with your mentors. And for the mentors, well, focus on breaking the ice. We're in COVID time, so it's a little bit more difficult. When I could, I always tried to actually just go for a walk or do something which was not just sitting behind a desk looking at somebody and talking to them. Now it's a little bit more difficult, but breaking the ice is important. It's also important to keep your finger on the pulse of that mentoring relationship and to see how it's evolving. Perhaps sometimes the mentees will be shy to reach out to you or shy to schedule meetings. They might look at your agenda and see that it's really packed and think, boy, has this person got time for me? Well, yes, they have got time for you, mentees, because that's why they want to mentor you. It's also good as a mentor to casually reach out and just send a good book or a link or a tip in between the mentoring sessions, just to keep that door open and to make sure that the mentees then can feel that they can also contact you outside of those official meetings if they need to, just by a mail or whatever. It's important to encourage the mentee to share what they most want to get out of the mentoring and to work with them towards their goals. Again, no matter how small. It's important to listen. There's going to be some documentation shared afterwards, I believe, with both mentees and mentors with some good reading. One of the favorite books I've read is Quiet, The Power of the Person Who Doesn't Communicate a Lot. And I think it's very important for mentors to listen, but sometimes you need to tease them and to encourage them and to coax them to open up to you. That might not happen right in the beginning. It's also important to be human, but I think knowing the people I've been involved with in mentoring programs, if mentors are doing this, it's because they're very human and they really want to make the difference. So mentors, share your failures as well as your successes. We're all human, we've all had failures. And again, enjoy it, because you will for sure learn such a lot from this experience. It's been fantastic to have this opportunity to see what Codam is all about. And I wish each and every one of you, whether you're a mentee or a mentor, the very best of success, and have fun. That's my biggest wish for you, to have fun and for it to be successful for you. But I'm sure it will be, because I'm sure you're going to have great mentors and it's going to be a great experience. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me personally or contact me, carol.goodall@tomtom.com. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Carol. One thing that popped up from the presentation was the reversed mentoring. One part of my job is actually to help the students become their best self in a professional world.
Yeah.
And many times by actually interacting with them, I learned a lot from them. And I think in the group there is Vincent. Vincent always points out, the mistakes that I do, especially if I have to choose a platform, a digital platform to do my events. And honestly, I feel I learned from it myself, and I hope that our mentors as well will be open towards, the feedback or the input that the mentors have, the mentees have, sorry. Thank you, Carol, for the kind.
You're very welcome. Good luck, everybody. Have fun.
Yeah. Thank you. So now we already saw some tips and tricks on how, the relationship should look like. Now I would like to introduce you briefly what's the program all about. And I prepared also a couple of slides. If you give me 1 second, I'll just share it here. And it's not working this time. Give me 1 second, one more time. Do you see it, guys? Anybody? Yeah, all good? Oh, fantastic. Okay. Okay, so the main goal of the mentorship program for us when we tried to set it up together with TomTom was the idea of giving a support system to the students, right? And the support system should be focused on bridging the gap between the goals and skills that students have right now after Codam, together with the world out there, the job market, right? So there are 3 objectives in mind that we have, is basically to have a transfer of experience, not per se of knowledge, right? But experience between the senior professionals and the students. So we do not expect per se that you will be teaching them C++ or C, but we actually expect that you'll be sharing maybe some daily anecdotes from work, right? Or how did you get in trouble during your first interview? I don't know, just be creative over here. Also, counsel the students in their career choices based on their interests and aspirations. Something beautiful that Carol mentioned is that we do not expect that the mentors would look into choosing a mentee that is a mini-me, right? That's a wrong type of mentality. We would like you to actually encourage the student to be the best of himself or herself, right? So that's why we always say that the mentoring should be based on the interests and aspirations of the student, as well as help them build their career goals and manage the expectations. Because when they look at the job market, normally they get scared, right? There's like this massive world out there, and I am just one student, and where do I fit in this big world, right? So maybe you can bring it down and help them set mini goals, how to reach maybe a 5-year goal, which is much bigger one, right? We also set up a very easygoing structure for the mentorship program. One thing that we realized is that we are very thankful to the time and commitment of every single mentor. And we thought, like, when we set it up, we thought like we need to set up the minimum expectation. So we wanted to have like 1 hour a month for 3 months, basically. But it's up to you already to structure the frequency of the meetings with your mentees as much as you believe you can commit, number one, and number two, fits with the goals and objectives of the mentee. We also created like planning, and also we gave a couple of tips of what can be a good topic to discuss in every meeting. So in the first session, we thought about, you know, that it should be about discovering each other, as well as discovering the objectives of the mentorship program, and aligning on the ground rules, right? Like when are we going to meet, how often, who is going to send out the links, the meeting links, and so on. The second session, we thought that it's good for the students to dream a little bit, to understand what's out there, right? What would be the different choices? If they go into data science, what does this mean? If you go into like a back-end stuff, like what does that mean? What are the job titles out there that they can, you know, look into? Or what are the different companies, like maybe different industries that would be interesting for the student? And the third session, we thought about like, okay, maybe there is more like about the implementation, because soon many of the students will be searching for an internship. So then it's already about nailing a list of companies that they can approach, and as well a specific way to approach them, right? How maybe you can give them some tips and tricks of how to do their application, or what do they need to mention, and so on and so forth. But I want to bring a couple of remarks. So this is the way we thought that a mentorship program would be fruitful, let's put it this way. But one thing is for sure, that there is no student that is the same at Codam. So we want you to co-create the program per each mentee, right? So all the sessions, the appointed dates and times are indicative. So in case if you cannot make it during that specific time, please reschedule with your mentee one-on-one, right? We're gonna send you calendar invites just for you to have a placeholder, but it's already up to you and to the mentee to actually put it in stone, let's put it this way. Also, all the sessions will be running online. Also, because we have a bunch of mentors that are coming from other parts of the world, but as well as right now it's pretty tough to meet one-on-one. We do not prohibit that you have a coffee with your mentee at your office if this can be done COVID-proof. It's up to you if you would like to do that, or maybe you would like to do a walk in Vondel Park. It's also up to you, but for us, you know, we would like to keep it safe, COVID safe, and encourage you to do it online. Also, the topics per session, it's also indicative. I bet that for many mentees, those topics would not be valuable anymore, because some of them, they might already know what they want to do, and you need to give them more guidelines into how to approach the company that he or she already likes. But for other mentees, they might still be in that phase of figuring it out, what they are good at, what do they like, what kind of industry they want to go into, and so on and so forth. So please, you as a mentor, please take a proactive role in actually structuring or adapting the mentorship program towards what fits, the specific mentee best. And of course, we are always here to help you out in case if you have any questions, or like your mentee is not responding, or if your mentor is not responding. Please get in touch with us. I will be the main contact person for all the mentors. And we have here Turla, of course, all the students know Turla. So he's going to be the main contact person for the mentees. So this is like briefly about, how the mentorship program is structured and what's the main goal of it. We will be sending out today a mentorship toolkit. Some of the TomTom mentors already received one with the values of TomTom, leadership values of TomTom, but the other mentors did not yet receive it. We will be sending it out today again, a bit adapted towards Codam values. So this will be after today's kickoff session. But before we jump into the breakout sessions, breakout rooms, I would like actually to give the floor to Anatoly Samara, one of the previous mentors from the previous mentoring edition. And I want him to actually give you a testimonial of what did it actually mean for him to go through the mentorship program himself, as well as maybe give you a couple of his lessons learned and how he actually structured the mentoring program, because he chose a completely different path from what I've just shown you. Anatoly, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
I hope you're okay. Thanks. Hello, everyone. My name is Anatoly. I was one of the mentors in the first round of this program. And indeed, I had to structure it a little bit different, but mostly because we had to improvise. This first round was a little bit ad hoc and was a little bit not prepared. But nevertheless, mentoring is always like that. You always have to be flexible. You always have to adapt. So there was no problem about that. So a little bit about myself, background coming from an engineering, used to be a software developer, then gradually started getting more and more involved in technical leadership roles, and was formerly managing a small team of developers as well at TomTom back then. So hello, fellow TomTomers here on the call. I'm not at TomTom anymore, by the way. So I'll spare you. I didn't prepare any PowerPoints. I'll spare you, so you have to look at my face, unfortunately or fortunately. Anyway, so when I heard about this program at TomTom, I was interested because it was a challenge for me, and I'm actually grateful for Codam, grateful to Codam for giving me this challenge and this opportunity, because I've used to mentor software developers on my team who joined the team. They would usually be either juniors or media developers, but I never had an opportunity to mentor a student, and it was interesting and challenging. And actually, that's one major point here about mentorship and the mentorship program is that students also have to realize that for mentors, it's interesting. It's a mutual benefit. So mentors also learn stuff from this program. They also benefit from it. They also experience new things, and every student is different, and for every person the approach is different. So that's actually a great thing to do. So I enrolled, and then basically I was assigned a mentee. Back then there was no formal matching process as it is now for this round, so this definitely improved, I guess, in my opinion. Yeah. So what I learned basically by talking to, well, my mentee and other students of Codam is that most of them, they actually have well, two things in common. Although they're all different, but they have two things in common. They all have a lot of uncertainty, and most of them have imposter syndrome, but they all can learn very fast. And the reason for that is that basically Codam is modeled in a way that it kind of mimics the everyday life of a software development company, with like peer-to-peer learning. So when you learn from other people on your team, when you're doing code reviews, for example, or you spend a lot of time looking for information. It's not just spoon-fed into you. But the another thing here is that students have uncertainty because they don't have any benchmark. They haven't worked in a company, so they don't know how good they will perform in future when they join a company. And they need to realize that Codam is actually preparing them much better than other universities, for example, because, well, you can, if a student can get information on their own, it's much better than a student who studied Java and doesn't know how to use Stack Overflow. So, yeah. Another thing that I learned from students is that often they will come to the mentorship program and they will not know what to expect from it. So they don't really have any expectations or goals. And the reason for that is not because they didn't think about it, but because there's the amount of topics is so huge, the area is so broad that they might not even know about certain topics. So as mentors, you shouldn't really be expecting them to ask concrete questions like, yeah, what, do you prefer a unit test or an integration test here? If they don't know about testing at all, they might not know it exists. So there was actually a bit of a discovery for me that you, as a mentor, need to trigger some discussions. And the way I approach this in my stint is basically by reading a book together with my mentee. So we chose a book, which is like a general book about software development and introduction to everything and nothing really. So not really specialized in any language or any framework or anything, just talking about generic things, algorithm complexity, testing. And we started reading this book. So we basically said like, yeah, for each call, we will read a chapter, for example. And then we said like, yeah, for next call, we'll read chapter 4. And then we discussed it. But what actually happened is that we were not really discussing a book. It was just a conversation starter and giving us like a list of topics and a structure. But then we were basically just deviate and start talking about various anecdotes from your life, from your experience, how the mentee would approach that, how the student would see those topics, bringing the student to getting an opinion or coming up to an opinion on themselves, right? So not just like pushing my ideas into their head. And I think it actually worked very well in that sense. So we didn't really need a prepared list of topics or a very rigid structure of the mentorship program. I think I've heard from Victoria that for this round, there is actually a suggested list of topics, which is a great thing. I think it's a great improvement. You don't have to follow it, but it will give you conversation starters, that's for sure. Alternatively, yeah, read a book as well. That also works. So from the practical side, we actually ended up having bi-weekly calls, so not one call per week, but two calls per, not one call per month, but 2 calls per month, so like every 2 weeks. That worked very well. We did run it for 4 months, And I think that was a little bit too much. So 3 months is a good limit in that sense, because also for the students, they need to experience different mentors. So they need to switch from time to time. And you probably, as a mentor, you also want to switch from one student to another, because everyone's different. You learn new things from everyone. And yeah, I would like to say that everyone needs to be flexible here, both mentors and students, and improvise. And good luck with everything. Seek contacts with other students. Talk about your mentorship program. Talk about your mentorship experiences. For mentors, also seek contact with other mentors. You can learn a lot from each other. I don't know if Victoria will facilitate any networking.
I do this around, yes.
That's great. So yeah, good luck everyone. Enjoy it. It's gonna be fun.